Allow your spirit to lead you into things and allow your spirit to lead you out of things. I think people want so badly to get this external validation of a sign that, okay, the birdie flew to my window to the left instead of the right. And so therefore that means God is telling me to leave, or God is telling me to stay, or God is telling me. God will confirm it in your spirit, whether he wants you to leave or whether he wants you to stay. Hey y'all, welcome, come on in. Okay, today I am answering the question, am I wrong for believing God for my marriage? Again, it's your girl Samantha Lee, and I'm answering this question because man, I've been there, all right? So keep watching, and if you like content like this, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, okay? All right, let me get into the video. All right, you guys, so the question I'm answering today is, am I wrong for believing God for my marriage? And I want to answer this first by saying no. I think God is capable of doing anything. There is nothing that God cannot do. Let me say that. I do not think it is wrong for anyone to believe God for the redeeming of their marriage. Okay, let's start there. But here's where I think people fall short. This is where the issue becomes this, that I think that people get so caught up in believing God for their marriage that they're not seeing the signs of what's actually going on in their face. That's when it becomes, I am choosing to be ignorant of what is actually going on. That's where I find it being the problem. There is a balance between seeing what things are, what's actually going on. Y'all see it? Y'all see the cheese in the background? Oh, Lord. But again, the reality of it is that there is a level of having to see things for what they actually are. God allows us to be exposed to reality, what's actually happening, but he also gives us the ability to tap into our faith and believing in something that's greater, that is not manifested in the physical yet. And so I absolutely believe in getting in your war room and praying and allowing God to do whatever he is going to do in your marriage. But there are certain times in every marriage, in the ending of marriage, as I know myself, where you're just like, okay, I see what this is. And as much as I'm believing God for the redeeming of this, I cannot deny what's happening in the physical. And so I would say to anybody that's watching this, that's going through that same, trying to figure out, struggling between, okay, am I wrong for moving forward in leaving the situation, or like, what do I do? And you always have to test things against the word. No one can tell you it's time to leave. Now, there's people that have opinions about it, right? We can all say, girl, you gotta go, or or say, no, girl, you gotta stay. Either way, people will always have an opinion, but you have to check in with your spirit. Allow your spirit to lead you into things and allow your spirit to lead you out of things. I think people want so badly to get this external validation of a sign that, okay, the birdie flew to my window to the left instead of the right. And so therefore that means God is telling me to leave, or God is telling me to stay, or God is telling me. God will confirm it in your spirit, whether he wants you to leave or whether he wants you to stay. Of course, I preference this, that situations of abuse where there's physical, psychological, emotional, financial abuse that's going on, I absolutely do not believe that God has put us in any relationship to be abused. I don't believe that for any, I don't care what anybody says. I do not believe that God has put us in relationships to be submissive to someone who is being abusive with their power. Absolutely not. I do not believe that. I know I'll get messed up in the comments about it, but I do not believe that God has you in relationships to be abused and allow somebody to abuse you, right? I also think that, people talk about adultery and things like that. Adultery is one of those things, somebody cheating on you. Some women are able to rebound from that, right? And get into marriages and really, when I say get into marriages, I mean working on those things, and they're able to have successful relationships with their partner after infidelity. I've seen it happen a million times. I've seen marriages rebound from any kind of situation, all different kinds of situations, addictions, infidelity. I've seen it. So I know it's possible for God to redeem these things, but it really does take two people taking accountability for their actions and making the decision. We all have free will. All of us do. We all can make choices. And some people want to make the choice like, I'm going to fight, I'm going to get in the ring, but you cannot get in the ring by yourself. Somebody has to get in the ring and fight with you. Then it's not, you just being understanding, and that person taking advantage. No, it takes work on both sides. And I think a lot of people get into relationships and they're married now, right? And there's issues that come up. And people are like, this is who I am. This is who I was when you got with me. So no, once you get into a marriage, it's compromise on both parties. Both sides have to continuously surrender, get humble. Things change. You cannot just stay the same person and then think that you're going to have a successful marriage. Life happens. Things happen, challenges come, and we have to be people that are able to adjust. And I don't feel like we have a lot of people that are really surrendering mainly to God in this, okay? When you're surrendering to God, it's humility. I take up my cross. I take up my cross every single day, understanding that I'm an imperfect person. I've gone through difficult challenges in my life. And so now I'm trying to get with another person who also has had challenges, who also is imperfect. And I have to make certain decisions about how I'm going to go about these things. And that requires me putting away my pride and my ego, me putting away what I desire and what I want over the family goals or the family unit. I have to then surrender myself to God and allow him to truly make changes within me so that I can preserve this legacy that I'm creating with this person. Okay? And I think a lot of us can get caught up in ego, can get caught up in pride. So we've got to throw those things out. We trying to fight for a marriage. Both parties have to throw those things out. And if you're in a situation where you believe in God for your marriage and the other person is not showing up or they are not ready to take accountability and put in the work, well, that is an answer. Doesn't mean that you have to make a decision right there, but you do have to take into account what you are seeing happening right now, as I stated earlier. Okay, guys, now I'm going into my last point, and this is super important. Stay tuned. What I have seen happen a lot of times in relationships is that people, especially us women, we leave too soon. We leave way too soon. And it's because of the unforgiveness that we're harboring in our hearts. We have this wall that's built up and we're so angry and we're so hurt and we're so resentful and we're so bitter. And I created this channel because I was one of those women. I was angry, I was hurt, and I made decisions because I was hurt. And maybe I made them too quickly. And I don't want another woman to make that decision. I want women that are watching this channel, and men, if you're hurting and there's things that have been done to you that have impacted your ability to connect with your partner, then I absolutely think that you have to take the time to forgive, truly forgive, take everything from underneath the rug that you've swept underneath the rug over and over again in the marriage or in the relationship, and say, okay, we've got to deal with these things because it's impacting my ability to connect with you. It's not necessarily that you're not in love with your partner. It just means that when you're angry and you're hurt and you're resentful and the wall of offense has been built up, it's very hard for a woman to move past that, to see past that. It's like, I don't feel in love anymore. Well, yeah, because you have this wall that's been built up because of the offenses that you've been collecting. And forgiveness is a two-person process. Yes, I can forgive someone and let them be off the hook from that. But I also have to be open to the changes and the adjustments they're going to make on the other side of you forgiving them. Okay. So it's very important that both parties, that you get in the ring and you fight. I mean, don't leave a stone uncovered if you are looking to leave a situation. Go as hard as you can go. Go do everything that you can possibly do. But do not compromise, your safety or your well-being to do that. But if there's something that you haven't done, something that you haven't tried, something that your partner has been asking of you, do it. Don't just leave. And if it's something that you're hurt or you're something that you're angered by in the past and you haven't resolved that, then you guys need to resolve it. I see a lot of women, and I hate to come at us ladies, a lot of women that have a lot of regrets. They file for divorce happens, and then they're like, dang, after all this time has passed, I regret actually leaving the situation because I was just angry. And now I'm not that angry anymore, and now he's with somebody else. You don't want to be that person. You don't want to leave with regrets. The person that leaves with regrets happens to be the most bitter. Okay. When you know you haven't shown up the way that you're supposed to show up and you haven't really given the full valiant effort that situation deserves, you will leave. You will not be at peace. It's called cognitive dissonance. I'll get into that in another video, but you cannot be at peace knowing that you walked away from something that could have been salvaged if you had just put your pride to the side, your ego to the side, and allow God to truly move in the situation. So I encourage you all to really, if you are in this position right now, if you are listening to me right now, don't be blind. Don't put blinders on. Take note of what's happening right now. Continue to pray. Continue to believe in God for what he can do, because God can do anything. But be open to his spirit. Be open to what he's leading, his promptings. Not what the world is saying. Not what your family's saying. Not what your homegirl's saying. But what God is leading you to do. Again, when it talks about abuse and aspects of abuse, I'm not referring to situations like that. I would absolutely advocate for you to leave. Or remove yourself from that situation until it becomes a safer situation for you to be a part of. Okay? But when we're talking about relationships and we're talking about marriages, I don't think that we're fighting hard enough to keep our families together. Okay? So anyway, that's the video, you guys. I hope you have enjoyed the content, and I will see you guys soon.